There's another burning issue for the startup ecosystem, and that's to do with online gaming. Mukesh Ambani of Reliance Industries, Satya Nadella of Microsoft have been saying that e-gaming is the next big thing, that in India it can be bigger than television and commerce. As we speak, the GST Council is in Chandigarh deliberating whether there should be a 28% tax on online gaming. My colleague Meghna Mittal, who's in Chandigarh tracking that meeting, now joins us with a detailed report.
Yes, the GM report on online gaming has been submitted to the council, which will be discussed in this two-day meeting. Now, remember, currently the GST that is taxed on the online games involving betting and gambling is 28% already, but on games which do not involve betting and gambling is at 18%. Now, what the sources are telling us that this GOM has suggested a flat 28% rate for all online games, whether it's based on chance or skill. Now, this GM report says that there should not be any distinction in the GST collection based on the games of chance or whether it's a game of skill. So basically now who will be impacted? It will be the online games which currently have the 18% rate, which do not involve betting and gambling. So they will be the most impacted by this increase in the GST rate if the council accepts that. Also, the GOMs has suggested that this 28% be implemented on the full value, including the contest entry fee and not on the gross gaming revenue. In fact, the GM report has given a detail of how much loss in revenue there will be if they charge on the gross gaming revenue and not on the full face value. So the recommendation from this GM is definitely 28% on the full face value. In fact, it mentions that the fantasy games section, currently it has a market size of 34,600 crore. So we await to see finally what is the decision of the GST Council, whether it agrees to this GM recommendations or not. But definitely what this GM has suggested, a flat 28% rate. So it will be a GST tax increase for some of the online games which do not involve betting and gambling and which are based on skill. So definitely they will be impacted if this GM report is accepted by the council.
So there you go. That's a live report coming to you from Chandigarh by my colleague Meghna Mittal, tracking the GST Council meeting. What will a 28% GST on online gaming mean for all stakeholders? Whether you're a gaming company, whether you're a founder who is looking to start a gaming company, whether you're a gamer, we're going to be covering all of those angles right here on the show. And I've got quite a big panel to decode it all for you. So we've got the association head, Roland Landers, who's the CEO of the All India Gaming Federation. We get you the lawyer's perspective with Jay Saita, and we'll get you a startup also in gaming. We are being joined by Suraj, who is the founder of Ability Games Limited. Thanks, guys, for being with us today on Startup Central. Roland, I'll come to you first. Nobody likes to pay taxes. I take that point. You know, I don't want to call it human nature, but it's a fact. But will the 28% GST, it's very expensive, I concede that as well, will it not finally at some point bring about a lot of clarity as well? There will be states who are agreeing to this, who on the one hand may have also banned online gaming. So from that sense, a legitimacy will bring about. Isn't that something to be happy about?
I don't think there was any doubt about the legitimacy because we are talking about online games of skill. I think the categorization itself was problematic when it began. Being clubbed with the casinos and horse racing. I'm talking about particularly the online games of skill, and hence I don't think there was any issue with legitimacy. Now coming to the issue of 28%, obviously the industry has been following 18% on the platform fee / gross gaming revenue, and our hope and belief was that that should continue because it is a globally accepted practice, and the important thing over here is also the valuation, which as per reports in the media like yourself have mentioned, that it would be on the has to be on the platform fee, as I just mentioned, and we are hopeful that that is what will emerge end of tomorrow evening.
Okay, so let's see what it is finally the GST Council will decide. Jay, you're the lawyer in the panel, so I'm going to come to you next. I don't want to get into gaming of game of chance versus game of skill where fantasy sports features in, because all of that is going to be up to the Supreme Court. But legally speaking, if you're also going to have a 28% GST, I think one of the questions that I would want to know as a user is that supposing I'm playing a game online, will I pay the tax on the money that I put in and the money I win, the pot?
So, Nayantara, as Roland also mentioned earlier, the valuation should ideally from platform fee. That is what the online gaming operators are making. That is, the money I deposit minus the winnings that is paid out. That is the value that is retained by the platforms. But as per press reports and whatever I've been hearing, to be on the entire contest entry fee. That is the entire amount that one is going to pull in or one is going to use to buy. So suppose I deposit 100 rupees on a gaming website, the entire 100 will be subject to a 28% tax. Is what the proposal of the GOM is what we are all hearing from the press. The GOM has not published its report in the public domain. So all we get to know is from the press and from sources that this is what is going to be. But on the other point of 28%, I don't think anyone is saying no to pay 28% on online gaming. Online gaming being an entertainment product, there are a lot of products in the highest 28, be it cement, automobiles, air conditioners. So nobody is saying no to pay 28% on online gaming. The only question is about valuation. How do you pay 28%? Should it be on the platform fee, which is actually the revenue that the online gaming companies are making? And that is what GST is meant to be, only on the value addition, only on the revenue of the companies and not on the entire price pool. Now, this situation, this proposal of taxing it on valuation is a bit of an absurdity, if I may say so. Because, I'll just give you an example of, let's say, Forex, when I purchase Forex or when I do stock trading. It's only the brokerage or the commission charged by the Forex trader that is subject to the GST. It can't be that the entire traded stock value is subject to 18% or 28% GST. That is what is actually leading to the absurdity over here also. And the entire transaction value, value out of which you're paying the users as well, that can't be subject to 28% GST. That is the only narrow and short question that is in the mind of the industry, and that may be subject to legal challenge in the future as well. I won't go onto that right now, but that's the only narrow point that the industry is making.
So let's actually go across the panelists who have skin in the game, in the sense will have to ensure that this tax is indeed collected. Suraj, you've heard the other two panelists. The question I want to ask you is that if you are going to have a 28% GST, whether it's going to be on the pot, whether it's going to be the platform fee, I would imagine you and your industry peers would actually just pass it on.
Basically today also there are thousands of companies which are actually operating in this space. As it is, the competition is very cutthroat. The commission that we charge is say ranging from 5 to 7% of the pot, in which we have to cover our software expenses, our server cost, our marketing expenses, our user acquisition cost, our operational cost. Everything comes from hardly 5 to 7%. So if government says I will charge 28% on the pot money, and actually the platform is getting only 5% on the pot money, you can imagine the kind of scenario that will be there. There will be nothing left for the industry, for the players or anyone else. So just like Jay put it in front of you, like if you are trading in stock and if the tax is on the entire value, then obviously you can imagine the very next day the stock markets will crash and there will be no trading happening there. Similarly, if 28% is charged on the entire pot amount, then say by second or fourth round, the entire pot will get exhausted only in the tax money and there will be nothing left for the publisher, for the operator or for the players. So that can be the most absurd thing for anyone to even think of. Charging 28% on the pot or the winning or the deposit, it can only and only be at the max on the commissions that we charge. Even 28%, I think, is on a very higher side. Because, say, for instance, out of 100 rupee pot, I am getting 5 rupees. And in that also, if 2 rupees government takes away from me, I will only be left with 3 rupees. And it will be very difficult to run the whole platform out of those 3 rupees. So just for the betterment of a startup industry or for a sunrise industry like gaming, government should take a different approach altogether in this.
I'll take forward what Suraj was saying and come back to you, Roland. There will be those who may be looking at gaming as a livelihoods. We do know that. There are many who do that, right? And they say that this is a game of skill, it's not a game of chance. I'm not talking about the gamblers. I'm talking about full-time gamers. Many of them are into esports. As of now, we don't know whether esports is going to be included. Looks very unlikely. So, if somebody is winning 5 rupees and is going to pay that kind of tax, I can't believe they're not going to come to the platform because they obviously enjoy gaming, right? So, will that 28% tax actually take away gamers, take away users, take away those people who enjoy gaming, Roland? I understand. I started the discussion by saying nobody likes to pay taxes and, of course, not at the highest bracket. So, can it really hurt the ecosystem in that sense? Is someone going to stop gaming because of the tax?
Yeah, let me just give you some, back of the envelope calculations. So if you look at the, let's look at the ecosystem as you mentioned. So let's start with the, if you look at this, what has been reported in the media at 28% on the player entry fee. So contest entry fee. So that means the difference between now what is the industry is following and what would become a reality is a 1500% increase. Now, can you imagine a sunrise sector that has to go through a churn of that, high proportion of percentage? It is going to impact businesses a great deal, as Suraj mentioned. A few large operators may be able to, buffer in and withhold. But if you look at the larger, the MSME segment, that is going to be impacted extremely badly. And now coming to the down the line in the ecosystem, you have now I spoke about the gaming operators and the kind of impact. Now you look at the gamers. And, for the gamer, as Jay mentioned, take a small example of a 100 rupee contest entry. And, if a platform charges 10 as platform fee, so that's 28 and 10, 38 already gone. And then what is remaining is close to about 60 rupees, right? From 100 rupees. Now, what it will do is, it will dissuade, people, gamers, and you are speaking about pro gamers, from coming to Indian registered, gaming platforms, which they're doing now, and then push them towards the grey market and towards illegitimate operators, which is definitely not the need of the hour because, they are not paying any taxes in any case. So that is a scenario as far as the gamers are concerned. So the entire ecosystem, and also if you look at the investments that have, the investors being so bullish about online skill gaming in the pay-to-play sector especially, there's been about $1.5 billion US investments that have come in the last year and a half. Now that is going to get impacted as well because the gamers will be, moving away. These gaming platforms would not be able to sustain, at least in the MS segment. So this entire ecosystem that we're talking about is going to be impacted adversely, and especially also the gamers.
Okay, so that's a point that I'd like to now take forward with our with the lawyer that we have on the panel, which is Jay. A very pertinent point that has been raised by Roland about the kind of investments that have also come in. I'll never forget that time when Satya Nadella, the global chief of Microsoft, was in India pre-COVID. He and Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani, while on stage, were talking about how gaming is the next big thing, and in India it could become even bigger than music and television and commerce. Now, having said that, Jay, the point is investors always want certainty, policy certainty. Now, you have a situation where you have a couple of states, one after the other, that have banned online gaming. The matter went to high courts, some of it is in Supreme Court. Now we'll have the GST Council meet. Is this going to hurt investments? Has it started to hurt investments? Let's also not forget, you're going to have a group company of Delta Corp, which is attempting an IPO. You have Nazara, which is continuing to also invest. So, from an outsider's perspective, there seems to be plenty of action. And the spiritual opium that is being smoked in China against gaming must be helping India.
You are absolutely right, Nantara, that this policy uncertainty, lack of clarity, and sudden moves definitely dampens the investor sentiment. And I know for a fact that few deals, discussions that were ongoing were put on hold, or there was reconsideration given different voices emerging from different sections within the government. For example, GST Council is trying to impose this highest kind of absurd kind of tax on the industry. On the other hand, the Electronics and Information Technology Ministry is actively engaging to regulate the industry. Other ministries and some other states are actually trying to welcome, investment in this sector. So this kind of, dissonance within the government departments, within the ministries is hurting, this space is hurting investments in this space. A lot of investors are having second thoughts about investing, and even the broader, the startup investment will probably, investors will start doubting India as an investment destination if there are knee-jerk reactions and sudden policy changes. So I believe it's certainly going to, adversely affect if there are sudden moves. I think the need of the hour is a comprehensive policy, uniform policy across center and states. I think everyone should sit together and formulate a concrete stand, which should be, permanent in nature.
Suraj, I want to ask you the exact same question that I actually asked Roland. We're covering all angles here. Now, with you, who is in the business, you tell us, is it really going to prevent gamers from coming to platforms for playing? They may not make as much money, but maybe all of you can get together, increase the pot size, find more sponsors.
Absolutely. It will prevent gamers from coming to the platform. And like Roland said, it will only lead to a grey market taking over the genuine, legitimate industry. Just say, for example, you go to a restaurant today and you spend, say, 200 rupees for some snacks or something. And the very next day, you go to that same restaurant and for those 200 rupees, you only get half of the snacks which you were getting till yesterday, just because some absurd taxes have been imposed. So you will stop going to that restaurant. Similarly, gamers will also not get the similar output that they used to get before this tax. So obviously, they will run away from the platform, any platform be it. And but where they will go now? They will go to some other restaurant or some other platform which don't charge them tax. And again, that is completely illegitimate industry which is booming. And this kind of a taxation will only further lead to the gamers move towards them.
Okay, so I hope we've covered all of the angles for our viewers. This is, of course, on day one of the GST Council meet in Chandigarh. Tomorrow, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will be holding a press conference as well in Chandigarh on the important decisions that have been announced. Gentlemen, open invitation on live national television that you've got to be back here in 24 hours after whatever it is that the GST Council decides.
Look forward, Nanda. Thank you.